President Trump there amid a symphony of hammers and saws, speaking to reporters after giving them a tour of the ballroom construction project there at the White House. He called the ballroom a gift to the country, saying he is on budget and emphasizing the safety requirements for the building. He also spoke about Iran, saying that Iran is begging to make a deal, but that he may have to strike the country again. He said yesterday he was just 1 hour away from making the decision for U.S. forces to start striking Iran again today, before the president decided to call off those attacks to keep negotiating. Let's bring in our senior White House correspondent, Gabe Gutierrez, who's been listening along with us. I guess didn't get to join the tour there of the White House construction project. Gabe, noteworthy here, the president saying that he got a call from negotiators saying, sir, we're close to a deal, but we need a little more time. That Iran knew they were getting close to an attack, and now saying basically maybe the decision will come Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even early next week. What stands out from the president's comments there?
Well, Joe, this was an impromptu news conference, as you mentioned. This one's not on the president's public schedule, but certainly he felt that he needed to take the press pool out for this tour of the White House ballroom. So I'll talk about that in a second. But yes, the headline from Iran really going into detail a little bit more than what he had said yesterday, putting off that strike on Iran, saying he was within an hour, as you mentioned, of striking Iran today. But yes, giving no firm details of where we stood with negotiations, only repeating what he has often said, that Iran is begging to make a deal. He was also asked about the primaries, of course, that are underway in multiple states, 6 states today, especially that closely watched contest in Kentucky, the House primary there, putting Congressman Thomas Massie against the Trump-backed challenger, President Trump, repeating what he has repeatedly said over the last several days, and White House officials essentially turning into this sharp campaign against Thomas Massie, the president calling him the worst congressman in history, not worst Republican congressman in history, but the worst congressman in history. Massie, of course, has been a thorn in the president's side, opposing the president on things such as the national debt, the Epstein files, and the Iran war. But back to why the president was out there. Yes, this impromptu press conference amid this ongoing construction with the White House ballroom. The president saying that it was the military that asked him to double the size of the project. And then he went into some detail about the construction. Of course, the president acting as developer-in-chief there, arguing for why the ballroom project is necessary, that it would be able to withstand drone attacks, and still arguing that it would be funded by private donations, even though Congress, or there's a proposal to fund that ballroom for $1 billion in Congress. The president, though, saying that that money was for security overall, and that some of that money may go through for security in the ballroom, but mostly that this project would be funded by private donations. The president previously estimating that it would have cost some $400 million. But certainly it is very controversial. You saw him there, the president, taking it upon himself to make the case for why it is necessary. And we are expecting to hear from Vice President J.D. Vance later on this afternoon as he holds a White House press briefing amid all these ongoing stories, Joe.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.